Welcome back everybody to another review of games that are currently free on Epic Games Launcher's store. This series is all about helping you guys decide whether or not these games are worth your time investment or in the future your money investment. It's usually been a while since these games have been reviewed on other channels, so here we take a look at these games to see if they still compare to other titles you may already own. Today we're taking a look at the Shadowrun Collection. These games are labeled as a science fantasy turn-based tactical role-playing game developed and published by Harebrained Schemes. It takes place in the setting of the Shadowrun tabletop role-playing game. This collection actually includes 3 games: Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut, and Shadowrun Hong Kong. These games are a part of a long-standing series of games with 8 inclusions spanning from 1993 on the SNES to 2015 on Windows, Linux, and Mac. Shadowrun Returns was the first game released after the Shadowrun franchise rights were sold, and the game somewhat rebooted the franchise to what it is today. Shadowrun Returns came out in 2013, and both Shadowrun Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong came out in 2015. All of these games were actually crowdfunded on Kickstarter, receiving $1.8 million in pledge money. Like always, we're going to take a closer look at these games based on my experience to see if they're actually worth investing your time into. And let me be upfront about the length of these games. If we take a look at the website howlongtobeat.com, we can see just how long it will take you to fully complete this collection. Playing the main story alone, you'd be investing about 54 hours into this series. Let me know in the comments what you all think about the Shadowrun Collection, as well as if you'd ever like to see me play these games live on my Twitch at Megabon. I want to start out today by mentioning that this game has a tabletop version, much like Dungeons & Dragons. Unlike D&D, your characters don't have a specific class that you have to level up. Instead, you'll be able to spend skill points in every aspect of your character. So, if a futuristic tabletop RPG adventure like D&D sounds interesting to you, maybe you should give Shadowrun a chance. Shadowrun's setting reminds me a lot of the upcoming RPG Cyberpunk. The setting of these games is a futuristic world rampant with crime, gangs, drugs, alcohol, and disparity. The games also feature fantasy elements with familiar races such as trolls, dwarves, elves, humans, and orcs that inhabit the world. Starting out in the first game, you find your own customizable character in a bare apartment with a note stating that you only have enough money to survive for the rest of the week. This type of disparity sets up a good introduction to a series that is all about disparity in a world rampant with crime and corporate greed. Even the characters you meet make the world feel even more disturbing and broken. Some of the characters you'll find come with compelling backstories of trying to survive on the streets, revealing just how horrible this cyberpunk future reality is. The bar and brothel in the first game quickly become one of the most welcoming sections of the game, as everything else is set up to be depressing and unwelcoming. One of the most saddening things about the first game though is how linear of a progression it is. You're not able to explore large portions of this techno-punk world because you're often forced down the direction of the main story. Both Shadowrun Dragonfall and Hong Kong offer more of a non-linear path. The graphics of the games are also a little bit disappointing. In comparison to a game that's pretty similar to the Shadowrun series, XCOM Enemy Unknown came out in 2012 and looks way better than any of the Shadowrun Collection games. That's saying quite a bit if a game from 2012 can look better than a collection that spans from 2013 to 2015. Environments look pretty much the same in Shadowrun Returns, but in Hong Kong and Dragonfall, you have a little bit more diversity in color and environments as they both take place in larger cities. Hong Kong in particular definitely has more color and diversity in the environments than Returns. Since there are 3 games in this collection, there are 3 different stories. Dragonfall and Hong Kong do not build off previous games, so if you want to skip a particular game, then go right for it. The main premise of the games are as follows. In Shadowrun Returns, a previous member of your gang sends you a video message after his death. He asks you to find out who killed him in return for 100,000 credits. Shadowrun Dragonfall takes place primarily in Berlin, where your character moves to in order to meet up with an old colleague. Germany is rampant with crime, and there are even stories being told of a great dragon named Fierschwing, a horrible pronunciation of a dragon that may still be alive in the world, who is waiting for the right moment to return and set fire to it. Shadowrun Hong Kong has your character meeting up with your foster brother Duncan in order to uncover the mystery of a message left by your adopted father Raymond. Each of these stories become increasingly more in-depth and complicated than their original premise. But Shadowrun Returns does not offer as in-depth of a story as Shadowrun Dragonfort or Hong Kong. So if you're looking for a better story to go along with the tactical combat, then you might want to skip Returns. Probably one of the most disappointing aspects of the series to some is that you'll be reading dialogue between characters a lot. Now I'm not talking about reading occasional talking that happens between characters, I'm talking about reading full-length paragraphs in order to figure out what exactly is going on. There's a lot of lore and a lot of learning to be done in order to fully understand the world and story of each of these games, and there is no voice acting. So if you're not up to reading a lot, then you best look the other way. Finally, let's talk about the actual gameplay of these games. As stated before, every one of these titles is a tactical turn-based RPG game similar to the likes of XCOM, Fallout Tactics, and others like it. Without even knowing that there was a tabletop game for the series, I felt the influences of games like D&D right off the bat. Starting out, you have the selection of choosing any of the 5 races: dwarf, human, elf, orc, and troll, with a very basic character customization screen. I actually ran into some issues with the character customization screen for Shadowrun Returns. I was not able to change any of the hairstyles or colors of the character I was trying to create. I kept clicking on the arrows, but nothing was registering. I'm not sure if I was misclicking or if this was a bug or what, but I did run into that issue. You also get to choose from a set of archetypes which give you a boost in certain skills. There are deckers, essentially hackers, street samurai, riggers, mages, shamans, and physical adepts. It is a good thing though that you're not locked to only being able to use a certain weapon when choosing an archetype. You could be a shaman that's proficient with a shotgun, or even a street samurai that can snipe the rifle from long distances. The game offers you the choice to really create the cyberpunk character you want. Combat works on a D&D style system. Each character has 2 actions per round, with moving taking up an action. If a character decides to attack an enemy, buff an ally, heal an ally, or take any other action in the game will essentially roll a dice without you knowing it based on your attribute score. Outside of battle, you move your controllable character with a click-based system. There are also side missions scattered throughout the world that you can take that offer you rewards for your team. At a certain point in Shadowrun Returns, you're able to recruit additional members to your team. However, these characters you bring along with you do not have much backstory. Thankfully, this is rectified in the later installments, as your team consists of more consistent characters that all come with their backstories. Another aspect that's different in the later 2 games compared to Shadowrun Returns is a choice system. Shadowrun Returns is fairly linear in all aspects, but the other 2 games give you more player choice in the dialogue. All around, these games are great for fans of tactical RPG genres, and I'd recommend the games mainly to those people only. I personally would skip ahead of Shadowrun Returns if you decide on playing these games, as the later installments offer better UI, character choice, character development, and story. Although if you ever want to play Shadowrun Returns, I'd play it first, as going back to it after the second 2 games would be a worse experience. I would not recommend these games to just anyone though. As someone who doesn't play a lot of tactical RPGs, Shadowrun would not be a good introduction to the genre. I found myself skipping a lot of dialogue in order to get to the combat, because honestly I enjoy D&D style combat, and I didn't even care much about the world itself. The game is also pretty slow when it comes to the amount of enemy encounters in the game, and you find yourself spending more time talking to NPCs rather than actually engaging in combat. If you like engaging stories as well as character development, you may like these games a lot, especially the later 2 games. If you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment below to let me know if this review convinced you to play the Shadowrun Collection. As always, I'll catch you all next time on Epic Game Reviews.